now to our business update, and we're starting with that price cap on Russian oil, which is coming into force this Monday. It was imposed by the G7 countries, the EU, and Australia as well. France 24's business editor Charles Pellegrin is here on site with more. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Erin. Absolutely. The goal here is to limit the amount of revenue for Russia's war effort in Ukraine while keeping supply at a reasonable level on the global market. The cap is taking effect at the same time as an EU embargo on all maritime deliveries of Russian crude, following in the footsteps of the US and Canada. The two measures together are meant to prevent Russia from finding other buyers at market prices. Only oil sold at $60 a barrel or less can be delivered. Leo McGuinn has the details.
Limiting Russian oil revenue without affecting global supply. That's the aim of a Russian oil price cap that will stop customers paying more than $60 a barrel for oil deliveries by tanker vessels. This comes after the European Union agreed to the sanctions, but Poland took some convincing, arguing for a cap as low as $30. The market price of a barrel of Russian crude oil is currently only $5 more than the cap, leading Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to call the sanctions not serious.
Unfortunately, the discussion on price caps, on limiting the export price of Russian oil, has ended without a serious decision, because you wouldn't call it a serious decision to set such a limit for Russian prices, which is quite comfortable for the budget of a terrorist state.
It means that only Russian oil bought at $60 or less a barrel will be allowed to be shipped using G7 and EU tankers, insurance companies and credit institutions, making it difficult for Moscow to circumnavigate the sanctions, with 90% of the world's major shipping and insurance companies based within the G7. It comes on the same day that an EU-wide ban on Russian crude oil imported by sea comes into force. The aim of these measures? To hit the Russian economy where it hurts.
Before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the EU was getting about a quarter of all of its oil from Russia. So eliminating these imports is a big step for Europe.
It is hoped that these new sanctions will have an effect on the Russian war effort and military budget. Since the start of the conflict in Ukraine last February, it is estimated that Russia has earned around 67 billion euros from its sales of Russian oil to the European Union.
Russia has responded by saying it won't deal with any buyers who are looking to abide by the price cap, and the OPEC Plus alliance, of which it is a leader with Saudi Arabia, has said it is willing to take immediate action to stabilize global oil markets, signaling a willingness to continue to cut production targets in order to bring up prices. Let's take a look at how oil prices are doing this hour. Oil prices rising as we're seeing the Brent crude up by 0.60%, over $86 a barrel, and the West Texas Intermediate over $80 a barrel, up also almost 0.2%. Also on the hope of seeing demand for crude rise in China as COVID restrictions are being lifted there. Those developments, though, not having a huge impact on European trade indices at the open this Monday, with shares mostly trading flat, actually, as opposed to the shares in Asia, which have really rebounded on what's happening in China with the lifting of COVID restrictions. We see Hong Kong rising up over 4%, and the Shanghai Composite rising just under 2%. Maybe we'll get these European figures for you coming up soon, but if not, we'll just continue with the rest of our stories. So in another sign that China's economy is wishfully looking forward to life after zero COVID, Reuters is reporting that Foxconn, Apple's supplier in China, has said it expects production at its Zhengzhou plant to resume full production around late December to early January. The plant has been grappling with strict COVID restrictions that have forced the site to remain in a closed-loop management system, which in turn fueled discontent and even protests among its workers. Well, following unrest in November, 30% of the site's production could have been affected, and revenue for the whole group dropped 11.4% year on year in that month. And following Emmanuel Macron's criticisms of U.S. support programs like the Inflation Reduction Act as being protectionist, the EU is coming up with its comeback. EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen unveiled measures that would ease state rules on public investment in order to better compete with Joe Biden's climate package. Europeans complain that U.S. measures such as tax credits and subsidies for products such as electric vehicles give US-based companies an unfair advantage and will encourage EU industries to relocate. Well, von der Leyen tried to present the EU's move as being beneficial to both sides of the Atlantic.
Competition between Europe and the United States can push both our industries to excel, to innovate, to transform faster, and all this is necessary. And this is why I believe in the need to invest into two clean energy industrial bases on both sides of the Atlantic.
And moving on, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Swiss mining giant Glencore says it would pay $180 million to the country as part of a deal covering all claims of corruption by the group between 2017 and 2018. This follows investigations into the company's practices in the DRC by the U.S. Justice Department, as well as the DRC's Ministry of Justice, and other multi-million-dollar settlements by the company in Brazil, Cameroon, and Nigeria, among other places. Finally, in the UK, rail strikes are still on the agenda ahead of the holiday season. The main rail union, the RMT, has rejected an offer made by rail companies this weekend. The offer included an 8% wage increase over 2 years with a guarantee of no compulsory redundancies until April 2024. In a statement, the RMT said the offer would lead to the loss of thousands of jobs, unsafe practices, and understaffing. Thousands of rail workers across 14 train operators and Network Rail are due to stage 2 48-hour strikes this month, Aaron.
Charles Pellegrin with Business. Thank you very much.